Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Duncan. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Clear Skye, and I'm so excited to share with you some details about our upcoming Clear Skye IGA 5.0 release. I am joined today by TJ, Gryziec, and Jackson Shaw, two of our leaders from our product and engineering teams, to have a conversation about that release. Welcome.
Thank you for having us, Erin. Pleasure to talk to you guys all today about the new release.
So let's dive right in. TJ, I'd love for you to do a quick introduction for folks who are not familiar with Clear Skye. Could you talk a little bit about why you started the company and what Clear Skye IGA does?
Yeah, absolutely. So unlike Jackson here, my background comes from the ServiceNow space itself. I spent several years working for customers and partners and the likes, and I kept seeing the same use cases come up around IGA. ServiceNow is oftentimes the single portal customers will go to and end users will go to interact with the back end of their organization, whether it's IT or administrative functions. And so they're going there to request laptops and interact and look for services through a single portal. And it only made sense to us that identity requests and access requests should also exist in that portal.
So let's dive straight into Clear Skye IGA 5.0. It's a very exciting release, and we have a ton of features and functions that are coming with it. Can you talk a little bit about what's so exciting about this release in particular?
But it is a pretty significant release. And in all honesty, I think the best thing about this release is how much customer input we've had to it. We've just heard from our success team, from our customer team, or our customers, and from our partners about a lot of the issues that they've struggled with the product. I mean, we've had great success, but we're now looking at how we can go to the next level, so to speak, with making this product even easier. I'll give you just a couple of examples. One of the things is around our approval engine, being able to build an approval once and reuse it in any workflow or business process instead of having to statically define it each time. I mean, we have spent a considerable amount of time and effort around making this product much more configurable and moving away from actually having to custom code particular pieces. And that's across the whole product line. More ways of connecting to systems. We've built some more connectors for the folks that use Microsoft, which is pretty much everybody. We have completely revamped all of our connectors, whether they're for AD or Azure or Exchange Online. That's partially to suit some of the things that Microsoft has done recently with deprecating certain security things. We've got other connectors that we're adding into this release, like with Google and Jira, and we've got more on the works. In fact, we're just going to start kicking off some work around Epic. We continue to believe highly in the importance of ServiceNow as a user interface for most employees in every company. So we're just, leveraging as much of the native ServiceNow capabilities as we can to make it easier for end users to adopt this product without having to require a whole pile of training, so to speak. TJ, is there anything I'm missing that you want to highlight from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that you speak to the connector capabilities because that's such a value proposition for identity in general, being able to reach out and manage those downstream systems across your enterprise. I think the work the team has done on some of the upgradability of those connectors and the merging of changes so that they can get the best of some of those upgrades and advancements, like you mentioned, Microsoft and other downstream systems are always changing, whether it's their security posture or whether it's the technologies that they're using. And with some of the merge capabilities that we're implementing in 5.0 allow you to pick and choose if you've had to make some customizations to your out-of-box connector, but you want to benefit from some of those new capabilities. Being able to do that in an easy way is something that's coming. So that's pretty exciting on the connector front also.
Yeah, exactly.
We're seeing standardization across, like you had mentioned, across other areas of the platform beyond connectors too. Something that every one of our customers is using from an access request perspective, and I sort of alluded to it in my introduction, is going to be the access catalog, or really the standard ServiceNow service catalog in this case. And one of the biggest challenges for deploying new services to that catalog is just the level of effort sometimes. and being able to tailor it or implement it. Oftentimes, you have to work with your ServiceNow team to get those solutions out and publishing those to the catalog. And it's often maybe a 1 or 2 week time frame to be able to define the forms, specify, create your workflows, and implement that. And what we're seeing now is being able to go through a publishing process, being able to submit from an application owner's perspective into those catalogs, being able to apply governance above that, having the identity folks approve those requests, and having it automatically create those catalogs and publishing those is just another example that we're seeing. So really trying to speed up that time to value and allow the individuals who are responsible for managing those applications to be able to have control over their own destiny while still ensuring that layer of governance is in place, ensuring that, they're not opening up risk to the organization, but we're mitigating any level of effort as it relates to be able to get those in there quickly and ensure that people are following the right processes, that your IGA program is keeping up with the growth of applications within the organization. We were able to do that, before in pre 5.0, but the level of effort to do it was a little bit more than what we're seeing today. So along those same lines, being able to improve and reduce the effort for managing these complex IGA programs on the ServiceNow platform.
I mean, I think, when you look at approvals, for example, and you look at pre 5.0, where you had to basically, you couldn't reuse, you had to handcraft your policies, right? Yeah. And now we're able to reuse them in 5.0 is just tremendous, I think. And the question I want to ask you, just to put you on the spot slightly, is, you were the man behind the original catalog. And we basically, you tell me what you think, threw it out and rebuilt something in 5.0. And are you happy with what we've built?
I really am. When we built that initial access catalog, we were really solving for the governance problem more than the user experience problem. Right. We were challenged in deployments to, deploy 100 different applications into the catalog. 100 different forms needed to be created manually, right? And so we looked to streamline that in this custom solution. And what we found was the custom solution wasn't as flexible as ServiceNow. It was much easier to deploy stuff, but it limited the use cases that you could address. And so by taking what we learned in that access catalog, in that governance capabilities, and are able to bring that back into the standard service catalog, we're now able to benefit from really that single portal, right? You're not going one place to request access and another place to request a laptop. Being able to leverage the same, shopping carts. So you can order a laptop, you can order access, you can get your Adobe Pro installed all within the same sort of request. And then also, being able to manage the life cycle of those catalogs with the new point of access publishing and retiring and updating really just ensures that we're governing all of these activities, under the new service catalog, or not new, but your existing service catalog within the ServiceNow platform. And anywhere else you interact with those things, whether it's your chatbots, whether it's through, other types of interactions that ServiceNow provides for you, this is going to work natively with those things also.
I think one of the things that we did, which is, so awesome, is we spent just a ton of time around reviews, and we've been getting consistent feedback probably for the last 3-4 months while we've been showing this to some early customers about how much easier it is to use the reviews capability in 5.0 versus pre 5.0. And also, just how much more easy it's made reviews to be used, not just for the important things, like who has access to, this SAP particular function or what have you, but the ability to read almost anything. What's your feeling on some of that work that's been done and the ability that the new abilities and capabilities we've put into reviews?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the evolution of our review engine. Its initial sort of V1 or even before V1, it was really to address the pain point that many IGA folks are seeing. It's the compliance activity. It's why reviews, are at the level of importance that they are, looking at that access on the regular basis, mitigating risk, distributing this workload across the enterprise, and really distributing it to the people closest to those individuals. So to a manager, to an app owner, people familiar with the access, so that when you're looking at 100,000 people in an organization, that those can be broken down into bite-sized chunks. And originally, all we were really doing was account reviews, entitlement reviews, role reviews within that access review engine, which is similar. Many of you watching today, that's probably what you have today. And so in the new review engine, we now have the ability to scope any data within the identity warehouse. So it could be the relationship between an account and entitlement, like we've done in the past, or you could take it a step further and look at what composition your roles are made up with, right? So what entitlements make up a role. You can start to look at, the roles themselves and determine if they're still necessary. You can look at profiles or employees or contractors or vendors, and you can review them as individuals within the system. So really any object that exists in that identity warehouse can now be scoped. And then we've taken it even a step further, not only being able to scope and present that to the different users and responsible reviewers, but we actually allow you to define the actions that they can take on those reviews also, which is really the most exciting for me. Because oftentimes in projects, almost every project, customers are nervous for you to connect to their Active Directory environment. There's been 20 different administrators who had different ways of doing things, different ways of structuring. App owners have left or apps have been retired, but their security groups live on, right? And so it was very apparent to us that there was a need to do more than just the compliance reviews. There was a need to look at data that exists in your downstream systems. Are these entitlements still relevant, right? Are the descriptions accurate? Are the ownership information, is it up to date? Is it relevant? Does it meet the standards of the organization still? And so with the combination of scoping through review types and the review actions, we can now build reviews that ask these questions that often get unanswered or are done through disconnected processes. And so I'm really excited about reviews, probably the most excited for this release in the way that we can sort of provide value to the customer before we even start that first compliance review. And when we do finally get to starting that first compliance review, that the value of that review is more because we've cleaned everything up. We've made it make more sense to the person that we're requesting. And we're trying to get away from that. Okay, I checked it, get it off my desk for 90 days and really have people look at it and say, does this make sense? If it doesn't make sense, giving them that option or allowing them to create an option that gives that feedback, says, I don't know why I'm getting this. I don't know what this means. And then over time, through these different types of reviews to be able to clean up that data. And so the next time we ask that same question, we can take that feedback that they've given to us and improve the responses that we're getting, right? And there's even more than that, but I don't want to take up all the time talking about it.
So I'd love to hear from either of you about how you've talked quite a bit about how ServiceNow has a consistent user experience and how important that is not only for IT, but for your kind of standard, employee users, your contractors, your vendors. And why is it so important that we use a familiar interface and that the identity data is tied into all of the things that an organization is already using on ServiceNow?
Right. It's such an important concept. I've been doing identity, gosh, I don't even want to say how many, actually decades, plural. But it's really interesting. One of the customers that just acquired our product, literally, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I visited that exact customer would have been probably 1999, just before I transitioned into Microsoft. So the interesting thing is here we are, 23, 24 years later, they've purchased a different identity product. Yet the thing I love about ServiceNow is a strategic buy for a customer. They buy it, it's in, and generally speaking, it is in for a long time. So what I love about what TJ and Vaughn and the team have built is this identity product on top of ServiceNow, which basically, as long as you have a concept of how ServiceNow operates and you're familiar with the UI and those kind of things, you can jump into our product right away. Now, sure, you have to know some identity management principles and those kind of things, but most folks have that get into this or get into our product in particular already have that background. So the thing I love is you don't have to go out and do a huge big training on this. And since ServiceNow is not going away, there's a longevity to the platform and us on that platform. So it just makes it so much easier to roll this out. You know, we have, and this shocked me. I mean, I worked at Microsoft for over 5 years, and very few customers ever wanted to deploy the brand new release of Windows Server. I mean, everybody said, I got to wait for Service Pack 1. We have so many customers that want to be day zero ready for ServiceNow, and we've made a lot of effort to be day zero ready with our product at that same time. And it's really for these kind of reasons. It's for the user experience. It's for the fact that there's new platform capabilities that the customers want to see leveraged inside of our product. So it's pretty important from that perspective around user experience. So, you know, I'm just a huge believer in ServiceNow as a platform, and the work that we do within the product team, working with TJ and working with, you know, customers on leveraging that platform inside of us. I mean, the fact that I don't have to build you know, a reporting engine, I don't have to, guess what? I don't have to build a workflow engine because ServiceNow is the best workflow engine out there. So there's a huge amount of you know, symbiosis between the product and the platform, and that's a benefit that just accrues to anybody who uses ServiceNow and our platform. I mean, TJ, I'm sure you've got a thought or two in that area too.
No, absolutely. I would have to agree 100%. You know, I often tell customers that their end users won't know Clear Skye exists. And, you know, that's by design. They should feel like they're interacting with every other service they interact with on the ServiceNow platform. And that goes not only for the end user experience through the portal, but also through administrators on the back end, to your point, right? We didn't have to create a custom workflow engine. You're using Flow Designer just like you are for all of your other business processes. We've, of course, wrapped you know, standardization around those capabilities, but you still get to leverage those same capabilities that you're already familiar with and that you're working with. And also integrating with other business processes that are available on the ServiceNow platform through that single experience means that when you're working with ownership information within your CMDB, you can leverage that information. When you're working with your HR module and you need to provision access to a user, you're able to create an activity in your HR onboarding flow, right? When you are you know, working with security incidents or GRC, it's seamless. The interactions between the two solutions and the interfaces, and being able to leverage data between the two is critical for solving some of those complex problems. And it's all happening on the same platform. And those teams that are working on the platform aren't having to readjust as they switch or swivel chair between the two. They're able to be very comfortable. And the example you used was the reporting engine. I can report on my security incidents and also any accounts that have been created, and the reports sit on the same dashboard, right? And, you know, really tells the whole story and intertwines between those different processes. And it's so easy because of that single platform, that single user experience.
It's so important. And I think it's really interesting too, because there's a lot of challenges with identity governance, and we talk to our customers about this all the time. And in a lot of cases, connectors exist. You've mentioned a few of those already as part of this video. You know, something we're getting ready to work on is Epic, but of course you've got, you know, your Active Directories and your Workdays and all of the larger systems. But talk about how the explosion of applications in the past few years. SaaS software has become completely saturated. People add new applications all the time, but all of that needs to be under governance. And having a structured framework that allows you to use your ServiceNow interface and ITSM to manage those disconnected systems is a really important piece of governance that a lot of organizations might not even ever get to. And with 5.0, we're adding an easier way to do that. Can you talk about that, TJ?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've given a great deal of effort to sort of standardize the import of CSVs and sort of unstructured data within those sort of disconnected or SaaS solutions that you may not, have a lot of activity within. You may only ask for access to the Twitter account, when there's a new marketing person, right? Which happens, far and in between in that case. And so for those applications that maybe are very specific to a certain department or a certain part of the organization and see low transaction, we can always feed in that data on a regular basis. And then it becomes an ITSM sort of implementation, right? So we're routing tickets in your ITSM solution already to ensure that those activities are being completed, that the approvals are being followed, that it's meeting the standards of your broader IGA program, right? And following the standardization and the governance that's been put in place. But it's quick to get up and running. And so you're not slowed down by having to build those complex integrations or having to set up, processes to manage that because it's onboarded into this unified program. And it gives, a consistent experience, whether it's being provisioned through automated methods or whether it's being provisioned through a ticket that eventually ends up on an IT person's desk or an application owner's desk to provision that access. And it ensures that these things are being managed through the life cycle of an employee, right? So, you may be able to send a ticket in today to get that access provision, but what happens when they change jobs, right? And oftentimes we don't have visibility into those SaaS solutions because they're sort of an afterthought, or they're growing at such a pace with the amount of applications that are being onboarded that it can't keep up with the processes. So to your point, making it easier to be able to export from those systems and import into ours and keep track and give people a place to go that isn't different for every new application that gets onboarded is going to be critical in being able to manage that risk.
Yeah, so true.
That's great. I am so excited about this release, and I hope that you guys are too. If you'd like to learn more information about Clear Skye IGA and our upcoming 5.0 release, I encourage you to visit clearsky.com. Until then, we will talk to you next time. Thanks.